from getting the first property and then to developing that vision of let's start accumulating more assets, because there's a little bit of a disconnect there from going to, let's go to condos, let's go to duplex, let's go to townhouses, right? So walk us through that period of, I got my first property. Now let's develop a plan to accumulate a basket of different properties across the GTA.
I think the favorable thing is that apart from my dad being in real estate, I was fortunate enough to have some close friends that also saw the vision of buying real estate. So we were able to bounce ideas together and figure out, okay, markets together, crunch numbers, and figure out, okay, does it make sense to buy a Kipling and Steels? Because that's all we could buy right now. So it makes sense to buy in Nelson across a Malvern Town Center, right? Because that's what we could afford at that time. And then, you know, downtown at Front and Spadina, fly condos at, you know, 149,900, crunching the numbers to make it make sense at 149,900. Like crazy how we were crunching numbers to make 149,900 make sense almost 16, 17 years ago. And then when at Queen West, when they were starting at 200,000, right? So it was good to be able to bounce ideas with individuals that were close. And because of that, it really just kept on giving me the push, right? To be able to try and scale and do more. And then
more subscribers equals better guests. So please hit subscribe on the video. It means a lot. Now let's get back into the show.
I always wanted more of a challenge. So before it was like, okay, let's get 1 or 2 units. Then once I got my real estate license, then it's like, okay, a lot of people were asking, oh, what did you just do? I just bought a few units, sold a few units. Oh, like, oh, I want one. Oh, my friend want one. So now it's like going to developers and saying, okay, you know what? We don't just want 3 or 4 for me and 1 or 2 friends. We want 10. Actually, no, we want 50. Actually, we want 100 units, right? And then really piece it out to those that were within our network and those that were within their network. And then before you know it, a lot of people were getting access to real estate in locations that some of them never been to, you know, downtown the city, you know, on King West, Queen West. And it was just through navigating the relationships and getting in front of the door and just saying we want this allocation and this and distributing it out.
So there's a lot that happens there in that process, you know. You're working with people that are your friends during that time. What were some of the wins and losses of working with longtime friends during that process?
You know, I think the biggest thing is that I always try to tell this with those that are around me, that is like, for me, like real estate investment, development, I always use the analogy of, you know, you're going into battles, you're going into war, you know, we're trying to have this goal. And because we're trying to have this goal, there's going to be some wins, some losses. But the most important thing, there's going to be struggle, but there's going to be growth.